Hey guys, welcome to HERizon Podcast, Episode 4, a podcast empowering women to heal, overcome trauma, embrace change. Through our community, we strive to inspire women to create a future where they lead with love, confidence, and courage, helping break boundaries and reach new horizons. Hi, sis.
Hello. Hey guys, welcome. Welcome to our 4th episode.
Woo!
Thank you guys for
being patient with us.
Yeah, and hanging out with us while we, got to this episode.
We appreciate the support. Thank you guys. We see you. We see the comments, the likes, the shares, the listens.
Yes.
The YouTube views, all of that. We appreciate it.
And we love growing with you guys and getting to know you guys and building our little community. Lots of love for you guys.
I love that. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about breakups.
Yes, breakups. A very fun topic. Just kidding. I think we can all relate to breakups.
We've all been through one.
Yeah, we've all
couple
dealt with it.
Few.
Whether we've initiated it or not, breakups happen. It's part of life. Unfortunately, getting your heart broken is like something that can be at the same time very empowering and teaches you a lot. And so it definitely sucks in the moment, but it only serves to help build you up as a person and helps you discover what it is that you're looking for and not looking for. So,
very true.
Yeah, let's get into some questions.
And don't worry, guys, I will memorize our intro, okay? Have me reading it over here.
Don't put that pressure in. You're fine.
She said that's too much pressure.
Okay, what's the worst breakup advice you've ever received?
The worst breakup advice I've ever received. To be honest with you, I haven't received no breakup advice. How about you?
The worst breakup advice, give him another chance. Just kidding.
That's a good one. Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it.
The worst breakup advice.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we think about like spinning the block or getting back with an ex? What do we think about that in general?
I think that you shouldn't recycle. I don't think you should recycle. Don't spin that block. Don't recycle. Once it's like done, it's done and it's done for a reason. Why go back to it? Nothing's going to change unless actions are like changed. Words, don't really mean much.
And the words have to match the actions.
For
and
sure.
The actions have to match the words.
Yes.
Yeah. I think when it comes to that, like 99% of the time, it doesn't work. I think that when you're young, maybe, and you have like a breakup at a young age and, you're still trying to figure out who you are. And then maybe down the line you reconnect and you're different people and you've grown.
Sure.
I think maybe in that scenario it could work. But for the most part, I think, X for a reason. Just remember why you got to that point and how did you get there? Obviously there was a number of things that led you to be unhappy. And, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. So even a breakup is not completely a loss. At times you just learn from it and move forward.
Sometimes you're supposed to go through that heartache to help build a part of you that maybe you didn't know was in you. It's a different type of strength because you have to overcome the heartache that comes with it. And
depending
on how long
say that.
they were together, things like that. So
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I was like, it definitely makes you stronger because obviously, like, to get to a point where you break up with someone, you have to have been in like a relationship, right? And it takes a lot to get into a relationship these days. So, and there's feelings involved, definitely. So, if you had the ability to walk away and say, hey, this isn't for me anymore, I think that's really powerful and empowering.
Or if they broke up with you, I mean, they broke up with you for a reason. So why are you going to go back to that, right?
Yeah, I think that's true. It's like if they broke up with you too, like, see you later, you know? Like maybe they didn't realize your worth, or maybe you just weren't their person. And I think that can be like really heartbreaking. Like, you know, I wasn't.
For sure. Rejection or like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. You can be like, you know, I wasn't the one for them, but it's okay. You're going to be the one for someone else.
And that's only going to mold you for that person, I believe.
Exactly. Yeah. It's going to mold you into who you need to be and the lessons you needed to learn to be able to find that person the next time.
Kind of like what we said previously. Everyone they come into your life for a season and there's always a reason, and maybe they serve their purpose. And the purpose was to maybe help you discover something about yourself, or build a different, or maybe even see different things that you didn't see before on the next person, or dislikes that maybe you didn't like from that previous person, or the way they treated you, or maybe you discover things about yourself and how you treated yourself and them in the relationship, right? Things like that. So there's a lot. Breakups are hurtful. They hurt. But there's always good, I think, behind it afterwards, once you get through that heartache.
Yeah, it's never a lose-lose situation.
In the moment, it hurts.
In the moment, it hurts.
And it feels that way. Yeah, but it's not.
It could feel like your world has turned upside down. But there's good news. You're going to be okay.
You're going to be okay.
Yeah, you're going to be okay. And time definitely helps. So, you know, every day that you take a step forward is a little win, and, you know, pat yourself on the back and keep going. Yeah.
So. I mean, definitely, I think the hardest ones are the long-term relationships, you know, where like there's family involved, kids involved. I believe that a relationship, when it's long-term or deep like that, it's not just between the person and the opposite. I mean, it's not just between the couple, it's the whole family.
Yeah.
So at that point, it is a little bit more, there's more attachments, and then there's more people involved.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's true. You date the family, and when you break up with the family.
Yes.
Don't make that mistake. Don't stay in touch with the family. It may be nice to like check in every now and then, but it is a breakup with them as well. And that's only going to help you move forward. It's unfortunate, but it involves putting yourself first, and, you know, you don't need that constant reminder.
I mean, if there's children involved.
If there are children involved, that's different.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
that's a different scenario, because, you know, obviously the family is going to be involved in the kid's life.
Yeah. So in that case, you know, keep it about the relationship between the grandparents or the aunt or the family members and the children, I feel. Yeah. Because if you attach, I mean, I know that certain people have relationships with like their mother-in-laws or their sister-in-laws. And I think it's great if they work through that, but it might not be, the new girlfriend might not be fond of that. And it might be like disrespectful to her, but that's, I think, that's
their beef. Yeah. That's their business. The kids deserve a relationship with,
for sure,
their parents and their family members. Okay, so let's get into some more questions. How do you handle seeing an ex on social media? Do you block, mute, or keep following? Block. There's only one answer. You block everything. Listen, if you end on good terms, that's great. If you end on good terms, like, that would be lovely if everyone could do that. However, keeping that door open is gonna be very difficult for you in the long run.
Okay.
Because keeping that door open means you still have hope, you still have feelings. The door is not completely closed, so they could come back through that door as they please, like, because you haven't shut it. And so you don't know if they're moving on and you're kind of holding out hope, or it's just not good for your mental state of mind. It's not good for your peace. If you really get to a point where you can just be friends, well, that's great. But I don't think that's what happens most of the time.
Well, I mean, in my case, block.
Yeah.
Block. But you know what? I feel like, I think it's, what is it? There's like a saying, what you don't see won't hurt you, right? And
Exactly.
I feel like if you stay active on their page, or you're, depending on how the breakup went, obviously, but if you continue to, I mean, we all do it. We're going to go and check up, right? But if you continue to do that, you're only going to hurt yourself, because you might not like what you see. So therefore, now they still hold some power over you, because they have control of your emotions, because you went and looked and tried to see what they're up to, and they're over there acting like they're probably living the love of, they're living the best life, when in reality they're probably not. But that's gonna be maybe a trigger for you, and you're gonna be upset. So to me, it's pointless to go. To me, when it's done, it's done. Why I gotta check up on you for what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to give you more energy or more emotions than what I've already given you. We broke up. It's a wrap. That's me, though.
I would say make that clean break, like.
Yeah. And I know it's hard for you not to want to go check and like want, but that's where you have to have self-control and want to have a better mental and emotional state than what you probably had in that relationship.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And look, it ended for a reason, right? We have to remember what those reasons are and move forward. Okay. So do you believe in the idea of the one that got away? The idea of it.
I think that there is some valid truth to that in certain situations. I think that the person may have not been mature for the one that got away, right? And I think that they may not have been ready for it. So I do believe in that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree as well. I feel like maybe it's one-sided. Like, one person feels like that person, that's the one that got away, but they got away for a reason,
Right.
Okay, so how do you cope with feelings of regret or what if moments after a breakup?
I think that everybody should reflect after a breakup, and I think that they should look at what they brought and what they didn't, maybe, and kind of like dissect it a little bit as to what they could change or how they can be better. And I feel like that's why breakups, in the moment, they hurt and they don't feel good, but in the long run, they build you, because you have to, I don't know, personally, I was in a long-term relationship, and I had to look at what did I do to maybe lead to our situation. And I just think it made me grow and see things that I probably didn't see when I was in it. I think it's going to make me better or when I am ready to be in that relationship.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
I think it's important to try to look back and take accountability for just your part in it, right? Like, whatever that may have looked like, everyone's looks different. And there's even some situations where, like, maybe you weren't necessarily the problem, but you have to look at, like, maybe you didn't set the boundaries that you needed to set to prevent a sort of behavior from happening, or maybe you let it keep happening, or maybe you just didn't know how to say no, and that's the lesson, is learning how to say no and learning how to put your foot down, learning what boundaries are, and not allowing people to bypass those boundaries, because
or treat you a certain way that you're not okay with.
There's a quote that I like, and it goes, the only people that don't like boundaries are the ones that benefit from you having them, or don't benefit.
Get it, sis?
Yeah, they don't benefit from you having boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because creating boundaries is you not allowing someone to mistreat you, and not allowing them to... Damn, I forgot what I was going to say.
To walk all over you.
Walk all over you. Mm-hmm.
If you've been keeping up with us, you know that Isene was in a long-term relationship, and she's been on her own journey for the past year,
almost.
Year to 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. So yeah, like, what emotions did you experience right after the breakup?
My situation was a little bit chaotic, to be honest with you. So I don't think it's like what anyone would feel after a breakup, I think.
Probably very heightened emotions.
For sure. You know, I
like
got
extremes.
I got out of a very long-term relationship all my youth, from, 1920 till 2 years ago, 33. And it came with a lot, because it was an unhealthy relationship. It was abusive. And he didn't take the separation very well. So it was, my emotions after were, how do I stay safe? And how do I protect myself from this person that I once spent my life with? So it wasn't, I think, what a break. I don't think there's such a thing as a normal breakup, but like, it wasn't what just a separation would look like. It was
a breakup rooted in a lot of extremes.
Very extremes.
So yeah, but I mean, I hope that women that are in similar situations can see that, that you're doing well, you're thriving, and
you will survive.
Yeah, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and you just have to make it to the other side. And hopefully some of this helps you, to get that strength that's within you, and help you push and make those steps that you need to get there. But yeah, I mean, how are you feeling now?
Do you want me to be honest?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all look back and we're like, why didn't we do it sooner? But like I've said before, the timing, it's
you can't
whenever.
beat yourself up over it.
I've learned to not. Yeah. I'm learning to not do that. Let me say that. And I am in a great. I mean, I'm in therapy. I am healing. It's an up and down roller coaster. So I have my good days and bad days. But for the most part, to be honest with you, I am very happy to be out of that. And I am in a way better mental space and emotional space than I was when I was in the relationship. I'm learning to be kind, soft, and gentle with myself, which is honestly not easy, because I've been in survival and I have had to be strong for such a long time. I was in that relationship for 13 years, so you can only imagine. But I am loving discovering myself. I am loving where I'm at. Has it been easy? Of course not. I have taken on more roles now than I had then, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you're a full-time mom,
Full-time mom.
Single mom.
I have full custody of my daughter's physical and soul, so they're with me 24/7. Yeah. Right now, he's seeing them once a week in therapy, and they're working on building their relationship. And, we'll see how it goes from there. I just pray for the best. That's all I can do.
Yeah, that's all we can do. So what is something like exciting or that you look forward to now, being like a single woman, being on her own, having a new sense of freedom? What's something that you like
I think you said it, freedom. It's freedom, to be honest with you. When you're in a relationship, you are committed to the other person. So it comes with, you have to communicate with that person and share your day, share about your day, kind of check in. What are you up to? What are you doing?
Which, by the way, if you're in a healthy, loving relationship, that can be very meaningful and very impactful. And, they say you live a long life with your spouse.
Yes. So there's supposed to be trust. Life. There's not supposed to be continuous check-ins, call-in, text-ins, pop-ins.
Yeah.
That's not a healthy relationship. Let's go ahead and clear that up there.
Right. When there's anxiety behind the actions, that's when it can cross the line.
Yes.
When it's not coming from a place of I'm just wanting to make sure you're okay because this is out of the normal, then I think you start stepping into that territory where it's no longer a loving, safe
relationship.
Thing. Yeah.
And I think that's great. You said loving and safe. I think that we need to iterate
it.
Yes, because that's very valid. When you're in a healthy relationship, you have that trust and that communication, and it's going to come naturally to be like, hey, babe, I'm going to be here, so and so. And then that person's going to naturally contact you. They're going to give you that, as opposed to an unhealthy relationship. It's like she said, it's anxious. They're constantly calling. What time are you getting home? It's controlling.
Projecting.
Maybe their behavior, which a lot of the times, if they're like that, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So just pay attention to all those signs. And if you feel anxious and, like she said, if you don't feel like it's in a loving way or a caring way, it's
considerate way, consideration is involved,
it's not okay.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
It's not
because
okay.
Let me tell you, when I got out, that was strange for me. For me, it was strange to go somewhere and not be on a time. Like, I have to go home. It was strange for me to hang out with friends. It was strange for me to text or call friends because I was not used to that, which is so crazy because it's small things. You would think that what? And it's not that it was a controlling, it was, right? But to an extent, I would not engage with friends because I didn't want to create any issues because I already knew he wasn't going to be comfortable with it. So it was why even bother? So I saved myself the trouble of not having friends, not going out, not really doing things. But it was always what time are you coming home? Things like that. I would do things at my business with my girls. And it was what time are you going to be home? Where are you at? And he was just dude, I don't ever do this. There was no peace to that. There was no calmness to that. It was just
yeah.
What time are you going to be home?
Yeah. And it's kind of okay, is there no trust? Why can't I just be out for a bit?
I'll tell you this. I, for the longest, obviously thought that was normal.
Yeah. It's not normal.
It's not normal.
It's not
now
normal.
that I have this freedom and I'm able to do as I please. But I also understand that if I were to get in a relationship, I have to have that communication.
There's a courtesy and there's a healthy communication style that you develop with that person.
Yes.
And it's what you're both comfortable with.
Correct.
But it does have to come from, like I said, a loving place where you both feel safe and secure. Because, anything that is not that is leaning into codependency,
for sure,
anxiety, all those things that you don't want to come up in a relationship, because then you're kind of turning the corner, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I was very me and that person were very codependent on each other. And when I removed myself from that relationship, that was an issue that I was having to deal with a little bit at first, because I was so used to always calling, texting, all that. It was already engraved in me that it felt weird to be alone.
I think you probably, if you didn't do it, you probably felt guilty.
For sure. It was like, oh, I have to give an explanation. Or
which that is like a learned behavior.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you honestly shouldn't feel guilty if something ran a little bit late. Like, you shouldn't be in a position where you're feeling guilty. The other person should be understanding. If it's based on your communication, right? But
100%.
If they're making you feel guilty about certain things, maybe it's time to like rethink and introduce boundaries. And
let me tell you, it's crazy because now that I'm thinking about it, we had each other's everything. We had location, passwords, logins. Like, it was very possessive, I guess.
Yeah.
In the way that we like, and it's crazy because I thought that because I had all that, right? I had his location, I had his logins, I created his emails, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, passwords that he would never do anything, right? But
yeah, you wouldn't be in a situation because you had access to everything.
I thought that, right? And
if there's a will, there's a way.
There's a way, let me tell you, okay? Because he definitely found a way.
Okay, how did your breakup affect like how you viewed yourself? Because transitioning from someone in a relationship, you know, you have another person in the picture, to being someone completely on your own, that's very different. How would you say that's been for you?
It's been a rediscovery of myself, and it's been a journey on seeing myself from every angle, to be honest with you. And I saw this thing where it said, like, I might say it wrong, but if you see her glow up, you know that she wasn't the problem. And I mean, this is the best I've ever felt and the best I've ever looked, and emotionally, mentally, physically, not spiritually, not just outer, but inner as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it just pushes you to want to be a better person and to work on every part of yourself. Personally, that's what it did for me. And I love where I am at right now. I am working every day to be better. Mother, woman, you know, in every
human
way.
in general.
Human in general.
Yeah.
Because when you're with a person for so long, you kind of tend to it's kind of like, what is that? You are your surroundings. Mm-hmm. So when you're in a long-term or just a relationship and you spend a lot of time with that person, you tend to pick up their habits, you tend to pick up their behavior,
their energy,
and your reaction to their actions can turn you into not a cute person. So I realized through my healing journey that, you know, I have certain behaviors that I am working on to like not be like anymore.
Like you have to reverse your way of thinking. You have to reverse your habits. You have to unlearn so many things.
Yes.
And relearn how to do them a different way.
For sure.
So what patterns do you think were there? Or what signs were there that you looking back now, you're like, how did I miss those? Or I wish I would have caught those.
Looking back, and if I had the emotional intelligence that I have now, they were everywhere. Yeah. I dealt with someone that also suffered from substance abuse, alcohol abuse. So that was there.
Mm-hmm.
And abuse was there. Mental, emotional, verbal, physical abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a lot of, what did you call them? I had a lot of signs.
Okay. How did you justify that in the moment?
Mm,
How did you wake up the next day knowing that could be in the cards for you?
I think at the beginning, at the beginning of it, the beginning stages of it, of course, you're angry and you're upset. How could this person that's supposed to love you and protect you and keep you safe actually harm you?
Mm.
It was a lot of anger and a lot of resentment, but the way I would handle it is I would just ignore. And I realized I have a avoidance.
Like avoid it?
Avoid it. Yeah, I would avoid it because I didn't want to face it and I didn't want to argue with it. So I would just I would go straight to work and give myself time. It would take me a couple of days probably, but I would avoid it and act like whatever and just suppress it. And then it would be the same cycle over and over. There was no justification because I knew that what he was doing was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a trauma bond that I just accepted and dealt with and moved forward from. But in reality, you never move forward because it's there.
Right.
So you just throw it under the rug and continue pushing forward. And that's very unhealthy because you can't have a healthy relationship that way. It creates anger, it creates resentment, it creates a lot of dislike towards that person.
Yeah, once you cross certain lines, you can't come back from certain things.
Correct. And I'll tell you, it does take power away from you because every time that person touches you or every time that person calls you a name or every time that person insults you, it does get inside and it does affect you.
You start to believe.
You do. You start
even subconsciously.
Yeah. Like, I knew that I was not what he would say, or I knew that I deserved better, right? But I would justify it and accept it because I wanted my children to be raised in a 2-parent household. So that was another reason why I was like, I'll just take it, I guess. Or he won't do it again. Of course, those famous words, I'm sorry, I won't do it again, etc., etc.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's once they do it and you allow it, because you allow it, I'm going to be honest here, as the woman or whatever, if you allow that person's behavior to continue past that first time, they're going to continue and they're going to push and try to see how further they can get. Yeah. So it would start off with, something like grabbing my hand, and then obviously it would continue from there.
Yeah, but let's be clear, the blame is never on the woman.
The blame is never on the woman.
It's always on why.
They should never. Let me rephrase this.
Do it.
No one should ever put hands on you. No one should ever call you out of your name or disrespect you. This is where boundaries have to be created. I did not have any. Yeah. And what I mean by we allow is, it is true. We allow it, but it's not our fault.
Exactly.
So let me rephrase that.
It's never your fault that they treat you this way.
No. And it's a lot of, I'm going through now, understanding how unhealthy that relationship was. And I'm barely starting to understand the gravity of the situation now. And I'm about to be 2 years out. And I'm barely understanding that all that I went through was not okay.
Yeah.
And it was because I was not emotionally aware of what was okay and what was not okay.
Yeah.
And I allowed until it got to like everything had been done. After, like, yeah, it was just, don't stay in something that is abusive. Like, I feel like culture or what you see when you grow up,
Mm-hmm.
and this is not my experience, because my mother always stepped away from unhealthy relationships. But I believe from what I've studied that culture,
Learned.
yes, culture and the way that we are brought up makes it seem like abuse is okay. And it's not. I don't care what form you tell me. It's not okay for someone to cheat on you. It's not okay for someone to put their hands on you. It's not okay for someone to call you out of their name. It's not okay for someone to mentally drain you and suck your energy out. And it's not okay to get blamed for your reaction to their actions.
Correct.
Because a lot of partners that are at fault tend to turn it around and be like, well, I would have never done this if you hadn't done that. That's your...
Yeah, they blame you.
They're going to turn it around and they're going to say, you're the one that caused this.
You're the problem.
You're the problem. And you're going to start believing it after a while, but in reality, it's them.
Yeah, if you hadn't stayed out with your friends until we wouldn't have had a problem when you got home. Or if you
Why didn't you answer your phone?
Who were you with?
Who were you with?
Like, it just spirals.
Yes.
You know? It just spirals. So what advice do you have for people in similar situations that want their kids to have two parents and they're not in the best situation? What advice do you have for them?
One, I think it depends on the situation, and I think it depends on the household, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've had women reach out to me and say, financially, I don't have anything. They're the housewives, and, you know, I feel like that happens a lot when the housewives are at home and the man is a breadwinner. Like, it's hard for them to leave because they don't have.
Yeah, it's kind of, there's a strategy behind that, right?
Correct.
It's financial, like, isolation. It's financial dependence. They know you can't do anything without them, because...
And they will use that to brainwash you into believing that you can't ever leave me, because how are you going to make it? You will make it. And to me, the way I see it is like there's the heart of staying in the relationship and enduring what you've been enduring and teaching your children, if there's children involved, that type of behavior and that type of relationship. And then there's the struggle of having to start over. Regardless, you're going to start over, right? I mean, if you leave you're going to start over, but it's going to be peaceful, and it's going to be the journey to restarting your life. It's going to be so much more beautiful than you staying in that unhealthy relationship.
Yeah, and honestly, you're not doing any favors for your kids, because you're showing them that it's okay. The behavior is fine. Like, I stayed, it's fine. You deal with it. Instead of showing them, like, maybe I should leave and try to find my happiness, or maybe get out of this bad situation, and show my kids that there's better out there for them.
And I think what happens a lot is that we become selfish as adults, and we get caught up in our emotions and our feelings, that we forget that we have children looking at us as an example. And to be honest with you, the way I look at it is like, we're adults. We have been through our traumas already that we have to deal with within ourselves. Why create that for our children to see or to view or to think that it's okay? Because a grown adult will be a good person or bad person based on their childhood. and how they're being raised and what they're seeing and what they're watching the parents, the uncles, whoever's raising them see. So if it's an unhealthy household, how do you think they're going to grow up?
Right. Yeah. And a lot of trauma comes from your parents. A lot of things come up when you're an adult that relate to your childhood that subconsciously you may not even have been aware of until you start seeing it maybe come out in patterns in relationships, or let's say you choose a more positive route and you want to work on yourself, therapy,
For sure.
Like regardless, it comes out one way or another.
Correct. And the way that I see it is, to answer that question that you had asked, or not even to answer it, but I guess, yeah, my input on that is it's better to be in a one-parent household than to be in a two-parent, unhealthy, toxic household.
Yes.
Okay? Because my daughters are in such a much better state now than they were when me and dad were together.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I have heard before, it's like parents think that by staying together, they're keeping the household together. But in reality, it's literally crumbling inside. And you're not doing your children anything by staying together and having them see how unhappy you both are with each other.
Yeah, it's like a glass house, right?
Perfect example.
It looks beautiful on the outside, but on the inside, it could shatter at any moment.
And I feel like that's kind of the way my relationship was. I created a look and an image of this power entrepreneurship couple, and in reality, inside, it was just crumbling.
Yeah.
It was all an image.
It wasn't the reality, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so after having experienced that, like how long or how are you feeling in regards to feeling like yourself or discovering who you are at this point? Like, do you feel like yourself? Because I'll speak on this. I feel like I obviously knew you. I've known you my whole life.
Yeah.
I knew you before, and I know you now, and I know you during.
Yeah.
And for me, it kind of feels like, okay, this is who I remember my sister to be like before. Very social, like lots of friends, like extrovert.
For sure.
Times 100, And I feel like you're back to that. But I know it's different.
Yes.
So how would you say it's different? And when did you start kind of feeling more normal, or do you feel more normal?
I'm starting to feel like myself, but obviously at the age I am now, more mature, more responsible. But
demure. I'm just kidding.
Demure. Yes. Oh, you know what? It takes a while. I'll be honest with you. Like I said, I'm going into 2 years out of the relationship, and the first year was very chaotic. In and out of the court, it was just a lot. We will talk about later. It was a lot. So I was on survival mode and fight or flight the first year, and then I started taking therapy in December. That has helped so much, and I started getting closer to God. And to be honest with you, I'm barely starting to feel like Isene, because now that I analyze who I was in that relationship, I was depressed. I felt like I was being suffocated, and I was very unhappy. I was angry.
I think you were like numb too. I was very checked out.
Very, very numb. And I am barely starting to know. It's so sad. I was telling my therapist, because I have the healing, like I said, it's up and down. And I've been feeling a lot of emotions I'm not used to feeling. And something that I discovered, she sent me a emotion wheel of emotions on how to handle like your emotions when you're feeling them, how to cope with that. And I remember going through it, and I remember thinking to myself, the only emotion I've ever had was I was either happy or I was angry. And now I'm feeling emotions of sadness. Like I know what sadness feels like. That's so sad to say. I know the difference between anxiety and anger. I know the difference between frustration and anger. Like I'm knowing all these new emotions, and I'm dealing with these emotions that I'm feeling that I had been suppressed for so long now. So it's a journey of healing, getting to know yourself, and overcoming negative emotions, but also learning to feel them and know how to handle them. And I'm learning how to communicate. So sad. I'm learning how to communicate in a different manner than what I used to, because all I knew was like arguing. And it was like as soon as something was done, I get defensive. And like, so it's a lot of, like you stated earlier, like resetting what you used to know and like unlearning it, right? And so I'm in that stage right now, and it's looking better. And I'm feeling like a couple of people, including my therapist, have told me like it's okay to not be a robot, and it's okay to be human and have emotions. And I'm not trying to say that I'm cold, like I'm a cold person, none of that. But like being in that relationship and having to have so many roles in that relationship as well, I've had to become numb.
You had to disassociate, disconnect.
100%.
In order to survive.
Yes.
Which is a coping mechanism.
That was the way I coped, and that's the way that I survived in that relationship. And now I'm learning to like I said, be soft and be gentle, be feminine, and
have feelings.
And it's an adjustment, but I love it here.
Yeah.
Do
you feel sometimes like what is this I'm feeling?
Yes. Like I remember when I was feeling sadness, I had like, it's moments where I just want to cry. And in my head, I'm like, why do I want to cry? And I told my therapist, she's like, you have to allow yourself to cry when you feel that. It's part of the healing, right? And I'm used to like being tough and strong, and like crying is weakness, and I can't show weakness because I already feel weak because of what I'm enduring. So I have to be strong. And to be honest with you, I'm okay with crying now. And that's something I'm teaching my daughters. Like, it's okay to cry if you want to cry. Don't hold it in. It's okay to have emotions.
Sometimes.
It's okay.
Yeah. Sometimes strength looks like vulnerability.
Something that I actually really admire about you is that it's crazy, because for the longest, some people can think the word sensitive is offensive or emotional is offensive. But I actually now look up to people that have emotions and that are sensitive, because they feel things. And I'm used to being so strong, and now I'm at my age learning to have these emotions that I'm having difficulty adjusting to, because I've never felt them before. So to me, I think like being strong is not a it's not being a rock. It's not being a rock, and it's not a compliment, to be honest with you. I rather know how to be emotional and sensitive and know how to manage those emotions than to always be a rock or always be strong.
Yeah.
So I used to think that the word soft and the word sensitive and the word emotional were like not a good thing, to be honest with you, because what I was going through. But I think that it's beautiful. And I think that it takes a lot for a person to be that and to learn how to manage those emotions.
Yeah. And we're all here having a human experience.
For sure.
And like, we can only allow ourselves to tap into that human experience as much as possible, right? Because our time right here is limited.
Yes.
So, and that's the beautiful thing about being human, is having all these different emotions that you can feel and just allowing yourself to feel them.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think in the long run, you do get a sense of like, I have lived, I've experienced all these different things. I've experienced so many different emotions. Like, I've truly had a human experience. And I think, one day we're all going to go. It's what it is. It's part of life. And I think the best thing we can do for ourselves is just let ourselves go through it.
I think that the best thing that I've learned is like, learn to love yourself for who you are. But also, like I said, I'm working on, learning to who I'm not just strong. I'm not just angry. I'm learning who Isene is. And it's taken me, it's a roller coaster, but you know what? I'm loving who she is and who she's becoming.
Mm-hmm.
And allowing yourself to just be human and remember that once we pass, how do you want to be remembered?
Right. And we all bring different things to the table.
For sure.
Like, we all have something to offer. I think you just have to remind yourself that you have something to offer, that you are capable and worthy of any life that you create for yourself in your mind, and then you can make it a reality.
You deserve it all.
Yeah.
You deserve it all. And you can create that life for yourself because you're in control of your life, of what you allow, who you allow in. It's just about knowing what you want, knowing who you are, loving yourself enough, and having to love yourself. You have to work on that every day.
Yeah.
And accepting yourself for who you are, honestly.
Yeah. And, don't overthink.
Don't overthink.
Anxiety, do your best to manage it. But also, like, the way that your mind comes up with like negative things, why don't you counter that and see like positive things too? Why is it so unbalanced?
I love how I feel like you were reading my mind. Yeah, it's so easy to be negative, right? But it's how it can just be as easy if you think about it in the opposite way. Why aren't you thinking about what can be positive about it, or if something happens to you, I always try to look at it, what is it teaching me, or why is it happening, but in a positive way.
Yes.
I can't, my whole thing is I can't fall into a victimized mentality because that will bring me down.
Mm-hmm.
So I rather look at things of course, I'm going to feel the emotion of, damn, this sucks, right? Or whatever it may be in that moment. But I'm also going to get up and be like, well, why is this happening? What is it teaching me? Or maybe I can't even see it in that moment, but there's a reason why. And it's going to come out later on,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we never know why something is happening when it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's only when there's space and time that we actually realize what the purpose of it was.
Yes.
And then you kind of go and you're like, well, if that hadn't happened, then this wouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe I wouldn't have met this person.
Right.
And it's like all your life up to that point, like you realize certain things had to happen. And there was no other way you could have ended up where you ended up. without those things happening in the first place.
And that's where the overthinking can lead you to destruction, honestly, and negative thoughts. If you're an overthinker, okay, overthink things. Try to control that because it's not healthy, to be honest with you. But if you're an overthinker, overthink the positive of it, right? Don't be so negative.
Balance it out.
Balance it out.
Balance it out. But also look at the facts.
Yes.
Look at the facts. Like, is this really what's happening, or are you creating something in your mind? Because the mind is a powerful thing.
Girl.
Look at the facts, write them down if you need to, and, talk yourself off of a ledge, because I guarantee if you write it down, what you thought it was is staring at you right in the face, and it's not that.
And sometimes it's just, honestly, something that I'm learning a lot is emotional intelligence, right? And it's learning how to control your emotions and when to apply those emotions and how to control those emotions. And how you react to things. So in the moment, if it's something that is happening and you're frustrated, you're not going to get a clear answer, or you may not see what is happening because you're frustrated. So allowing yourself to give yourself time to process what's going on. Don't let your emotions right off the bat control the situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Something that I was telling my best friend was like, we're kind of in this healing journey, and we dissect and talk a lot about what we're going through in therapy. And I told her it's hard right now to deal with our emotions because we're not used to this. We're only, like I said, I'm used to certain ones, but if you think about it, life is never going to stop teaching you lessons, or things aren't going to stop happening to you, right? So it's all on how you handle that and how you perceive it. So right now, for me, it may seem hard to deal with these new emotions because I'm not used to that, and I didn't have the tools, which I'm learning through therapy, through life, through healing, through faith, through all that. And I'm learning now that sometimes it's not as big as it looks, or it's not as bad as it looks. It's what I'm thinking, that in my mind, I'm processing like it's such a big deal, but in reality, it's probably not if you give it like 5-10 minutes. Right. And I'm learning that not everything needs a reaction. I'm learning to give myself time to walk away sometimes if I don't agree with something. And it's okay to agree to disagree with someone.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's more peaceful, like,
for sure.
You're not going to be on the same page with everyone all the time. It's impossible to do that. So sometimes, it's not worth your energy. Agree to disagree, and that's what it is. And call it a day.
And you know what? As time goes by, it's going to get easier, and you're learning the tools, and you're learning those emotions, and you're learning how to handle those emotions. It's going to get easier. So whatever life may throw at you, you will already be equipped to handle it.
Yes, exactly. So let me ask you this. Do you feel like the past is behind you?
For sure. I believe that, like I've said before, everything happens for a reason. I've learned a lot about myself, about what I want in a relationship, what I don't want, how I want my children to grow up. And I've learned so much. I've learned so much, and the past is behind me, and I am in the present, and I'm excited for the future. And I'm happy, and I'm at peace. Like I've said, I'm working on myself every day, and I'm not where I want to be, but you know what? I am very happy where I'm at right now. I am happy with the relationship I have with my kids, my family, my friends. Leaving that relationship was the best thing that I could have done for myself. It was the strongest thing that I've done. And it was a battle, but honestly, to be where I am now. And that's what I want to share with women. And I love getting messages on my Instagram of, I love you. I love this glow up, or I love you seeing
Keep sending
you.
them.
Please. They don't get old. They make me feel good, because I did share, I'm open with my relationship, with the status of what was. And it's not easy. It's not easy. And it's a lot of mental and emotional more than anything. And it's not easy leaving what you've known for such a long time, even if it was unhealthy, but taking that step to close that and not looking back. And especially if it's an unhealthy relationship like mine used to be, it comes with a lot after. And having to face that, endure that, overcome that, gives you a lot of power back, and it puts you in a different headspace. And none of it is, I'm speaking of my journey and what I've gone through, because I know that there's women out there in similar positions, and you will be okay. And it's going to take time. Where I am at in life right now, a year ago, I was not. And you will be okay.
Yeah.
Everything will be okay. Your children will be okay. You will be okay. As long as
you are resilient.
You are resilient. As long as you're working on yourself and you're not sitting there victimizing yourself and putting yourself down, or allowing that person to continue to hold you down, and you're fighting for your freedom, for your sanity, for a healthy mental, emotional state, you will be okay.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, is it too much to ask to have a peaceful life?
It's crazy, because I used to say we have it all. Like, we have a business which are successful, we have each other, we have beautiful children. Why is it so hard to be happy? Like, what else do we want?
Because something's wrong. Something's not right there.
You. I believe that in my case, it was a lot of internal within that person. It was a lot of battles that he was battling, and I was the nearest person, and I was taking it. And it's never you. It's that person that needs to work on themselves, heal themselves, their trauma, whatever they've been through. You're not a punching bag, and you're not there to fix somebody or change anyone. And I remember I used to just ask if they can just work on themselves, just learn to love yourself, learn to try to do better things or better options or whatever it may be. And I would even try to help that person. But in reality, if that person doesn't want to change or help themselves, you can't do anything. You are not responsible for someone else. You're responsible for yourself.
Yeah.
And your children. But you're not responsible for another grown-up. You can't change someone if they don't want to put in the work. And I think a lot of women stay because they hear there's going to be change, or they believe it, or one day they'll change.
They hope for it.
50 years later, you're still there. They changed. I'm sorry, but we have one life to live, and I refuse to, one, have my children see that and grow up in that. And then two, I want to be happy. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be treated with respect, and you deserve to feel safe. You deserve everything that you want. And I think that that's the biggest thing you have to tell yourself is you don't deserve where you're at. You deserve what you want. And if that's not what you want and there's no peace there, why are you continuing to try to stay in something or fix something that is not fixable because that other person's not doing their part? A relationship takes two people, communication, everything. And if that person's not giving it into that relationship, it's one-sided. So why are we still there?
Yeah, you can't constantly be giving and not get anything in return, or it can't always be unequal and unbalanced, and they just take. And no, like that will break you down as a person. What are you looking forward to?
I am looking forward to passing this healing stage. I'm just kidding. I'm learning to, you know what?
It's a never ending, girl.
It's never ending, I know. But I think just being, more, I'm looking forward to,
getting through like the thick of it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. The learning to have these emotions and being okay with it. And, I'm looking forward to, honestly, I'm just looking forward to the future, whatever it may be. I know it's going to only get better from here. And I just want to share it with all my women that are in similar situations where you feel hopeless and you feel stuck. You're not stuck.
Yeah.
And just know that you will be okay. And in time, when you know, like I said, you'll know.
When you're ready.
When you're ready.
Yeah.
You'll have that strength and that power to walk away and close that chapter and start a new one. And it's honestly a journey, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
I'm happy where I'm at. We're working on it.
Yeah, and we'll see what the future holds.
It's bright.
Yeah. I feel like that's the best way to be, kind of just work toward your goals, have goals, but, have that freedom to like life could go in any direction, actually.
Let me tell you something real quick. It's in that relation, in an unhealthy relationship, I believe for me, they make you feel like you're a bad person. They make you believe that, you're bad because you're leaving them, or you're bad because you're not there, or this is supposed to be forever. Like, we got married or whatever it may have been. We didn't get married, but I'm saying in the situation of they turn it around and they make you believe that you're wrong, right? But no, you're not wrong for not being their punching bag, not being their support system, because I'm sure we were, but it's never enough because they don't look for help themselves.
Yeah, it will never be enough.
It will never be enough. You can't, and then you will be the blame for it all. So just know that you're not a bad person.
You're not responsible.
You're not responsible
for someone's complete happiness. Like, it shouldn't rely on a person if you have a good day or bad day. It should rely on yourself and
yes,
and how you react to people and situations, and how you cope and how you get through it, and how you ask for help when you need it, and how you use your support system, and and build a support system.
It's crazy because now the way I look at it, it's like someone was holding me responsible for their actions, their behavior, and their happiness.
Yeah, it's way too much.
That's not my responsibility. My responsibility is myself and my children. And I think that's something that we definitely have to understand, is that you are not responsible for another adult. You're not responsible for their behavior, their emotions, or their happiness.
Yeah, and happiness comes from within, and it exudes out.
Yes.
And your energy will touch other people and impact their day and impact their life in hopefully positive manners, right? But very easily the opposite as well. And, negativity, I feel, is actually way more contagious.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And different all around, I think. And I choose to be the way I see it is I spent 13 years going through lessons of life. that now I don't want to waste a second.
You went through it.
And I went through it. And I don't want to waste a second. And I choose to not let negativity overcome or even enter my life. And of course, I have negative thoughts. And I mean, I'm human. I'm learning to be. But I'm also learning that I don't want to give my energy to that anymore. And I'm going to be a happy, positive person. I have one life to live. I am the example for my daughters, and I just want them to remember me. It's a saying that I saw. I don't want my daughters to remember me for being strong. I want them to remember me for being happy. And I want to teach them that life makes you strong. You have to be, life throws things at you that are going to automatically make you a strong person, I feel. Mm-hmm. So that's already going to come with life. It's learning how to
find the moments where you can be happy.
Yes.
And like have fun and make a joke and
yes,
not take everything so seriously.
No,
because life is serious.
Let me tell you. To laugh. To laugh. It's crazy. It's those little, I love to laugh. It makes like, and I hadn't like experienced that for such a long time. I was always serious. I was a total different person in that relationship than who I truly am. And to see who I am, this is who I am. Like my sister said, I am outgoing. I don't know, like I'm just not what social butterfly. And
but if you're not, that's okay too.
If you're not, that's okay. I'm not saying no. But what I'm saying, it's like, I remember the first time that I actually laughed. I thought it was so weird. It's little things that you look at and you're like, dang, I wasn't like that, or I couldn't do that, or and it just tells you how unhealthy that was.
Yeah, I think the weird part for me, I mean, there was a lot of parts, right? But something I noticed was like how you were basically like on your own. You had like no friends, and I felt like that was not you. I felt like, what? Like my sister's friends used to live with us at some points. Like,
yeah,
this is not correct. This is not right. This is not who she is. You know,
I isolated myself.
Yeah, it was isolation.
For sure.
100%.
I isolated myself. I didn't want anybody to know what was going on. And I know that having friends comes with opinions, and I wasn't ready for that. I didn't want people to involved in that. Obviously, there was also embarrassment and shame, especially because I'll be honest with you, with my type of personality and character and the type of person I am, I would have, even when
there was pride too.
There was a lot of pride.
Yeah.
And even though it was happening, I wasn't accepting it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I've said, I barely started to understand the chaos that I was in. And in the moment, you don't see it. Personally, I didn't accept it. And I think that's why it continued for so long. Mm-hmm. And to be clear, we were together 13 years. The abuse started around the third year, so 10 years of it. And it's crazy.
Yeah, that's a long time, but
it's gonna take time.
We're on the other side now.
Yes, and it's gonna take time, and that's what I'm learning, to be patient and kind with myself, because leaving a relationship is already hard, I'll be honest with you. And leaving a family relationship is already hard, right? A divorce, where there's kids, family, all that, right? But leaving an abusive relationship is harder for me, because you have to tell yourself that behavior.
Yeah.
One, was not your fault. And two, you're not a bad person for leaving. And three, it's not like...
Yeah, breakups are hard in general.
Right.
When you go through a relationship and a breakup with those sort of things involved, there's another element added.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more.
There's trauma.
Yeah, there's so many more things on top of what you're already having to deal with. Those added elements are really, they're a lot. They're a lot to deal with. They're a lot to go through. They're a lot to overcome. I mean, maybe we understand on some element that everyone goes through a hard time when they go through,
for sure,
a breakup. But I think if you've been in a situation where there is
abuse, trauma,
yeah, there's I'm gonna say it, there's DV involved. Yeah, it's so, there's so much added to it. There's so much layers. There's a lot of complexities. And only the person experiencing truly knows how it all feels, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I just think that there's like a lot of, like my sister said, layers to it, because there's not only, what, to me, what made it, I don't want to say easier, but what made it easier for me to not look back, besides obviously the DV and the court and everything, right, was that I think I stayed in the relationship till I didn't feel anything anymore. And it took so much that I was so numb that even leaving, leaving was just, there was no heartbreak.
Yeah.
I didn't get to experience the I miss him, or like the breakup of like us, because he had done so much that I was so numb. And then to top it off, after what he was doing, just made it so much, I don't even think easier is a word, but
it kind of showed you that you made the right choice.
It showed me that I made the right choice. And now dealing with the emotions of the separation, and not that there's any feelings there, but just of, I think, the trauma of the DV and everything that I still had to endure after to stay away from this person, made it so much harder, but it made me stronger at the same time. Mm-hmm. Because I fought against my abuser, and I stood up, and I created a boundary where I told that person that they will never
have access
to me again.
Mm-hmm.
And that has brought me so much power back, because that person did strip me from a lot. And I think now that I'm where I am at now, and I understand the severity of what I was and how extreme it was, I am better equipped to handle these emotions
mm-hmm.
than I would have maybe last year.
Yeah, you have more tools, you have more understanding.
Yeah.
You have support.
For sure. And I therapy, God, and educating.
Gym.
I gym. But educating yourself, honestly, as women, we have to educate ourselves. And that's what we want to do with this podcast, is to educate women that all of that is not normal and it's not okay. And that's not a loving relationship. And your children shouldn't be seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be honest. Like, my daughters are in therapy, and, it's seeing their journey as well as going through my journey, and our children deserve better. They're supposed to be loved, protected, taken care of. You're supposed to guide them, and you do your best as parents.
Yes.
And staying somewhere that they're seeing their parents argue or have disagreements that lead to ugly fights or disrespect, why would you want to keep your children in that? Me having daughters, I had to look at them and be like, they're going to see that I'm allowing this, so they're going to think that that's okay. I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
So not only was obviously everything he had done to me, but it was also where I stopped looking. I stopped and looked at them and not at my emotions and what I was feeling. I honestly stopped being selfish. Because when adults stay in a relationship with the other person, it's because you're being selfish because you are codependent on that person, or you love that person, or whatever you're trauma bonded. Or you're scared. And it took me a while to understand that the reason also why I stayed is because I was scared. And honestly, now out of that relationship, am I surprised that person did what they did after? Now I'm not, because of everything that I went through. But last year I was just like, how could they do this? And it was like, dude, they've done it all. Why would they not?
It's kind of like re-traumatizing you in a way.
Yeah. So, there's people that obviously don't want to let go, and it takes them a little longer, and it's a process, but
you can do it.
Yeah. But to put somebody in where I had to, I didn't feel safe, and I was scared, and I was literally on survival and fight or flight, and I was in hiding, that no one deserves that. And to be where I am at now, things have calmed down a little bit. There's still some
it's an ongoing
but
thing.
I have learned to deal with it, live with it, and not allow it to consume me or my emotions. And that person holds zero control over any of my emotions, to be honest with you. And I want to clear this up. I don't share my story to bash that person. I'm sharing my story to share,
to empower other
my
women.
experience, and empower women that you can restart your life, and that you should not allow that type of behavior
treatment,
and that there is a brighter light, right? And I'm working on myself every day, and I can't stop saying that, because that's going to be a forever thing.
Yeah, you have to remind yourself.
But I have to remind myself in those moments of negativity, and
that you're working on yourself.
Yes. So let's
wrap it up.
But for anyone that's experiencing DV, we're going to have some hotlines at the end of this. If you need help, please call. Reach out to family, reach out to friends, reach out to someone that you will think will be there for you. And I'll be honest with you, you can't do it alone. You you can't keep isolating yourself and thinking that you can do it on your own, because you can't. You need a support system, and you need people that will be there whenever you are ready to
or
walk away.
Even if you're being isolated, try to find a way. You know, there's help out there.
If you don't want to tell family members or friends,
there's shelters.
I
mean, you can DM us.
I'll hear you out.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what resources we can connect you with, and how we can provide you support. And don't be afraid to reach out to family, friends. People are here to support you, and there's more support than you think.
Yes, you're not alone, and you will get through it. And stay tuned for episode 5. Thank you for watching, listening.
Thank you guys for watching. I know it got a little heavy at the end. We appreciate all the support, and we know it's not an easy topic to cover, but it is a necessary topic, and it's important for us to connect with women and people that are dealing with this, and that have a story to share. And we have hope and faith that you will come out on the other side.
You will come out on the other side.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And thank you guys for joining us today. Please like, subscribe,
share,
all the things.
Save.
Yes.
Follow.
And we'll see you guys on the next episode of HERizon.